RIMS is global. Discover why 10,000 of your peers in more than 60 countries are part of the world's largest risk management community. Visit rims.org/membership to find the best membership for you and your organization. Coming to you from RIMS headquarters in New York, this is RIMScast, the official podcast of the Risk and Insurance Management Society. I am Justin Smulison, Business Content Manager here at RIMS, and your proud RIMScast host. This is episode 379, and our guest is Cynthia Garcia, the award-winning Chief Risk Officer for Bernards. We will talk all about her career in construction risk and get some inspirado. But first, let's talk about virtual workshops, starting with the RIMS-CRMP. On March 10th and 11th, we have a two-day course led by our friend John Button for the RIMS-CRMP Prep Exam. And on March 17th and 18th, RIMS will align with AFERM for a two-day RIMS-CRMP-FED Exam Prep Course. On to virtual workshops. On March 4th and 5th, we have a virtual workshop facilitating risk-based decision-making with our good friend Joe Milan. On April 15th, we have a virtual workshop covering emerging risks, and that will be led by our good friend Joseph Mayo. Register today and strengthen your risk knowledge. RIMS members always enjoy deep discounts on the virtual workshops. And we've got RIMS webinars coming up. On March 6th, RIMS presents High Stakes and Hard Hats, where we will dive deep into the careers of women leaders in construction risk. We'll be joined by a chief risk officer, an underwriter, and a broker who will explore their career paths, risk and safety philosophies, and lend some insight as to why this is the time for the next generation of leaders to rise up. And on March 12th, our good friends from Global Risk Consultants return. Their session is Don't Waste the Soft Market, Where to Reinvest Insurance Savings Before the Window Closes. Register for these and other webinars by visiting rims.org/webinars and the links on this episode's show notes. We've got some more plugs coming up later. Let's get on with the show. Our guest today is Cynthia Garcia. She is the Chief Risk Officer for Bernards. She made a big impact on the risk landscape in 2025 when she received the Bill McIntyre Leadership Award from the International Risk Management Institute during its Construction Risk Conference. I wanted to learn all about her career and what it's like to be the risk officer for a major construction company. Earlier, I mentioned the March 6th RIMS webinar, Hard Hats and High Stakes, and Cynthia will in fact be the Chief Risk Officer mentioned there. So if you like what you hear in this episode and want to learn more with regard to career development, construction risk, and why rising risk professionals should seize the opportunities in the construction sector. She's a fascinating individual, and I am so pleased to present this interview. Let's get to it. Cynthia Garcia, welcome to RIMScast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I had to hunt you down, lady. I had to go... I had to chase you down. We're going to talk about why in a little bit, but I'm so excited because you and I are going to be collaborating on a RIMS webinar coming out March 6th. It's called Hard Hats and High Stakes. It's all about how women have and can continue to thrive in construction risk management. And you are the ideal CRO, Chief Risk Officer, to have on that panel. So thank you in advance for doing that webinar and for being on this show.
Well, thanks for having me. Excited. I promise there are many more talented people than I am, but very lucky I was sought out by you. Happy to be found.
Attitude of gratitude and humility in abundance here. So, Cynthia, let's get to it. You're a Chief Risk Officer for Bernards. You're based in California, and there's always construction projects going on there. Can you give us the abridged version of your career journey and what drew you into risk management and then construction? Give us the
Sure.
Clip Notes version.
I'm old enough to know what that is. So
am I.
Sorry to the younger generation listening. Like many, if you in my generation, we stumbled into it. I was lucky enough to start as an administrative assistant for Morley Builders, an amazing employee-owned general contractor in Santa Monica, California. And I was fortunate enough to have a sponsor and a mentor within the organization, actually several, just gifts. And they helped me see that I belonged at the table. It was crazy that I never thought about it. So they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, which is the beauty of a mentor.
That's
and in
nice.
spaces I was not in, they advocated for me and said, why don't we give this to her? And that's the beauty of a sponsor. So I was really blessed, right place at the right time. And I was able to lean in. And the thing that really attracts me about risk management and what I do is finding the hard yes. How do we get to the yes? Yes, the hard yes.
Right. To dispel the notion that risk management is the department of no.
That is correct. We don't say no. We're trying, when we're practicing our craft, we're fully integrated with operations and understanding what the business needs. So we're strategically aligned and helping make sure that we're making those thoughtful business decisions that allow us to take the risk, but then take it to the next steps and go, how does this add to our shareholder equity? How does this align with who we want to be as a company, as a people? And I think that's the beauty of risk management. We thread the needle between entrepreneurship and cowboyism, right? So we don't say no. We lead with, help me understand, and let's help us get to the hard yes. We can do it, but here are some of the things that we need to do to make sure that it's successful.
Right. And sometimes you have to answer a request with a question, right?
Yes.
Why do you need this? How could you justify this cost or this request, right?
Yeah. So I always like to start by making sure I'm coming in with a lot of curiosity. Help me understand what is it that I'm not seeing, right? And to try to connect the dots. Because if I don't understand the needs of my business partners, then I'm not creating value.
Now, when did you join Bernard's?
I joined Bernard's. It'll be 4 years next month.
Okay, great. So congratulations. Happy anniversary there.
Thank you.
And when you joined, what was your title?
Chief Risk Officer.
You joined as Chief Risk Officer. Excellent.
Yes.
So is that a position that they created special for you, or did you succeed someone else?
It's a position they created for me.
That's got to feel good.
It does feel good. I only have first world problems. What can I say? Life is good. I'm blessed. I work with really talented people. I wish I could take all the credit, but I have an amazing group of individuals that are rock stars.
Yeah.
So we have a saying in our team. I strive to be the weakest link in our chain. So, since, rising tides lifts all, I'm a little bit heavy, but, they carry the weight and they do it beautifully. I think the genius of true leadership is understanding we're essentially paving the way for our replacement. And those leaders who are afraid of talent and afraid of letting rock stars shine really need to pause and think about, what does that really mean for me?
Right. How many people are on your risk team there at Bernard?
So risk and safety actually report into us. And we have, I think, 13 currently.
13. Okay.
Yeah.
And on a daily basis, what are some of the responsibilities that you have other than managing your 13 people?
Sure. I'm really fortunate. I have a VP of risk and safety that makes it look super magical. He's definitely genius in making all the wheels on the bus turn and turn. So he's the only direct report I have.
Right.
So he does an amazing job, setting the tone and the pace. We really focus on listening to the voice of our internal and external customers. As an employee-owned company, we try to understand what is it that our business partners needs, whether it's in accounting and finance or human resources to actual operations and estimating. Like, what do they need from risk management to help achieve mission success? So on a day-to-day basis, everything from safety to, what you would expect, safety, claims, insurance issues, coverage questions. But our favorite part of the job is when the teams proactively reach out and they're like, hey, we're thinking about this, or we had a conversation today and this issue came up. And so we're looking at that. The beauty of being in a smaller organization is risk management isn't siloed here. So it's not your traditional safety insurance and insurance claims. We actually have the benefit of litigation management and contracts flowing in through us. We partner very closely with our CHRO on policies and employment practices. We partner very closely with finance and accounting on on a variety of issues. So we feel really fortunate that we are viewed and valued as an internal resource to our business partners and part of the critical strategy to achieve our goals.
Excellent. Now, bigger picture regarding Bernard's, how many frontline construction professionals are at the company?
So I'm going to answer that a little bit differently because we have approximately a little less than 400 employee owners.
Okay.
So while we have a large number of our team members running the work, right, in the job, boots on the ground, at the job sites, our entire business couldn't function, right? So you can't build if you don't have money, right? Which is the essence of the genius of our finance and accounting to make sure we're paying our vendors on time, maybe even if our owners are a little bit late to the table, making sure we're treating our trade partners fairly. We have our genius marketing team, that helps with our brand and making sure that we're highlighting our accomplishments and generating the value add in our community and creating the buzz. We have an amazing tech team that's very customer centric, making sure all the challenges I have as a digital non-native, a digital tourist, trying to navigate why does the MFA not work, all the way to, much more technical things. We have our virtual construction design team that's not necessarily in the field, but they're helping with clash detection, getting ahead of constructability issues early on. We have our estimating team that's, technically genius, getting ahead of what's out there, making sure we have the right projects to go after. We have, so it takes a village. And so we like to think all of us employee owners have a vested interest in mission success, right? So we're all in construction. That's how we look at it. Yeah.
I got you.
We're going to take a quick break. I've got a special plug that you need to know about. Risk World 2026 will be held May 3rd through the 6th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Risk World attracts more than 10,000 risk professionals from across the globe. It's time to connect, cultivate, and collaborate with them. Booth sales are open now. General registration and speaker registration is also open right now. Marketplace and hospitality badges will be available starting March 3rd. Links are on this episode's show notes, and be sure to check out rims.org for more information. And save the dates, March 18th and 19th, 2026 for the RIMS Legislative Summit, which will be held in Washington, D.C. Join us in Washington, D.C. for 2 days of congressional meetings, networking, and advocating on behalf of the risk management community. Visit rims.org/advocacy for more information and to register, and also check out the prior episode of RIMScast, episode 378, featuring RIMS General Counsel and Vice President of External Affairs Mark Prysock as we discuss the top priorities for RIMS in 2026 and beyond. And now let's return to our interview with Bernard's Chief Risk Officer, Cynthia Garcia.
You joined as Chief Risk Officer. What was the size of the risk and safety team when you joined as opposed to now that you have 13?
Yeah, I believe there was about 10.
Okay.
So we went into remodel mode. I think we just had a different strategic vision. It's always amazing when you are able to step into an organization that has the basic bones and the structure that you can build on. Sure. And continuous improvement is a core value of ours. So I was fortunate enough to come in and, we're a 52-year-old company. So there was already process talent in place. And we've just slowly been looking at what are the areas that we can have the greatest impact, trying to pick off some of the low-hanging fruit first, and then getting into how do we build out processes that allow us to scale without having to reinvent ourselves every few years.
Gotcha. Now, is Cynthia Garcia's top risk safety? Is that a fair question to ask, or is it a fair assumption to make?
I think I would say it a little bit differently. Safety is our first priority, and we're really proud to be part of an organization that actually added safety to our core values this year.
Okay.
So that was an organic growth that happened about 4 years ago when I joined. We've been on this journey. I love that it's grassroots. It percolated up through operations and said, this is who we need to be. And so I look at it differently. I think a risk management team's job is to to safeguard all the resources of the organization. That includes people and things, right? Yeah. Our clients, our trade partners. So we have a rather holistic view. We can't be good by ourselves. We can't be safe by ourselves. So safety to me takes on a larger connotation than the physical well-being, including making sure we have, creating spaces where we're leading and making sure that we can allow our people to be vulnerable and lean into leading with empathy and knowing that not only your physical safety is a top priority, but also creating a psychologically safe environment where you can show up, be seen, heard, and thrive.
Excellent. So you've forayed into an area that I'm very curious about, because when you have even a company of 400 people, everybody's going to have slightly different goals here and there. They're going to all have different perspectives, even from the top down. So when you have all those competing priorities, how do you balance operational realities with risk controls in a way that keeps all your projects moving?
That's a really great question. I think I really work on building connection through conflict. What could be tough conversations, if you are willing to check your ego at the door and come in curious, I think that helps. And oftentimes, I try to state my intention up front, which is my intention isn't to challenge you. It's to have you help me understand your perspective and help me see what I'm missing, right? And so, and I try to explain because I ask a billion questions. There's so much I don't know, and I always try to get with the why. So
is it tough for you to be on my show because you're the one asking the questions most of the time?
It is. It is. I usually am asking the questions. And so to me, when I try to understand what it is that my counterpart needs to happen, then we can figure out, roll up our sleeves and figure the path forward together. I think as employee owners, our goals are aligned. We're looking in the same direction. We're just kind of talking about, do we take a little detour here or there, right? Which way should we go? We're kind of fussing with the GPS a little bit, but we know the destination is set and we have a commitment to one another. And so I think once we are willing to shut up, listen, ask the questions to learn, then you can try to figure out, how can I be of service to you, right? Because my job isn't to convince, it's first to understand.
We will take one more quick break because I want to tell you a little bit more about my friends at the Spencer Educational Foundation. Now, we spoke about them a little bit during this episode, or we will momentarily. I want to tell you about the openings and the deadlines for various Spencer Educational Foundation grants. The Risk Manager on Campus application period will open April 1st, 2026, and it will close on June 30th. Grant awardees, colleges and universities are typically notified in September. Now let's talk about course development grants. The application deadline for interval number 2 will be on June 15th, 2026, and award notifications will be sent out in late July. General grants will open on May 1st, and the application deadline is July 30th. And internship grant applications open on August 15th and close on October 15th. Links to each of these grants are on this episode's show notes. And of course, you can visit spencered.org for more information. And now let's conclude our interview with Bernard's Chief Risk Officer and a good friend of the Spencer Educational Foundation, Cynthia Garcia.
So we're back with Cynthia Garcia, and Cynthia mentioned earlier that Bernard's is employee-owned, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. Now, we've had a couple of other prominent RIMS members and a couple of award winners who are the risk officers for employee-owned companies. Now, my question that I'm wondering about is, does being an employee-owned company add a certain level of uniqueness, positive or negative, to Bernard's, which is in itself a construction company?
Absolutely. Great question.
Okay.
I think being 100% employee-owned makes us all better business people. And at the heart of risk management is about making those good, tough choices. And so when I have to look across the table and I know I'm betting with my fellow owners' retirement, it makes me think about that a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And so I think the employee ownership structure really lends itself to amazing risk management, right? Because you have to be disciplined. You're not spending somebody else's money on this, right? We're working together. And when we all make good choices, we are ultimately rewarding ourselves and impacting future generational owners too. And I think that's quite meaningful, right? It's the best of both worlds. You have the umbrella of a big company paying all the bills, but you're rewarded for smart entrepreneurism, right? So who doesn't want to own their business, do their own thing?
Right. So you always have that long-term view when you make a decision. That's influencing you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also don't look at, as an employee owner, I think, and I think all risk managers do this, but it's not what's in it for me. It's really, in the long run, how does this support who we want to be today? Who do we want to try to be tomorrow, right? And it's making us look further into the horizon.
Ask what you can do for your construction company. All right, there it is. That's there it is.
Look at that, Teddy Roosevelt. Oh, no, it's JFK. Sorry, JFK.
It's JFK. Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know what Teddy Roosevelt sounded like. He was on The Simpsons once, but that's it.
He was. I think he said, speak softly and carry a big stick.
He said that, yeah, but the actual tenor of his voice, I don't know, but I'll work on it.
I don't either.
I will one day work on it. All right. So I did also want to mention, because we're talking about construction, quick little aside, May 4th through May 8th, 2026 is Safety Week here in the U.S., and that's coinciding with Risk World 2026.
Yes.
And will you be at Risk World?
I will be.
Excellent.
I'm very excited.
Will you be observing Safety Week during Risk World?
We will be. We have planned activities on each of our job sites to highlight all the good things that men and women are doing to build the communities in which we work in and live, but doing it in such a way that they know that the end result is they're going home to their families and loved ones.
Excellent. That's great, because I've seen some of the data, and every state has their big law firms. Were you injured in a construction site accident and that sort of thing? And the settlements and the verdicts can be astronomical. So you're really part of your job is to minimize those from the outset. And that harkens back to your safety first mindset and making that a core value of Bernard's. I also wanted to ask, so you've got those set up at the work sites. Do you find that the clients are responsive to that as well?
Yeah, it's been amazing for us. We recently, a little brag about Bernard's.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, one of our project executives was invited to the school district, and we won an award acknowledging our efforts on safety. And so that felt really good, because it wasn't us saying it, but it was our clients saying, we feel it, we see it. So we've trademarked a better experience. That's a phrase that we're really proud of. Mm-hmm. And that means we're building not only to create a good experience for our employee owners, but that, again, long-term view, it means project success for our owners who value safety, right?
Yeah.
We're a large school builder. We're fortunate and blessed to work on many of the school programs up and down the state. Yeah. And so we're really cognizant of the impact we're having on future generation of leaders and citizens. So we're very, again, really, really grateful to have that acknowledgement from our clients, right? When we give ourselves high fives, it's one thing. When the client says, I see it, and they go out of their way to acknowledge it, it's a little special.
Cynthia, I also wanted to ask, we're not going to get too deep into this next part because we've got an entire webinar on March 6th that I've plugged the hell out of every single week on this show. But I did want to give everybody a little bit of a taste of what we can expect from there, from your appearance there. And one of the reasons that I found you so fascinating, the only one, because I've got another one later that we're going to discuss, is that you're a chief risk officer in what is traditionally two male-dominated professions, right? Construction and risk management. Are you seeing the tides turn with more opportunities for women?
Absolutely. Construction tends to be very inclusive. We're an industry filled with optimists, right? Who else builds out of dirt? Honestly, right? It's like, can you do that? Absolutely, right? And the genius is all of our people bring that can-do attitude, and I think we're just becoming and growing into being organically really inclusive, which I love. And the people in this space are very, very generous and gracious with their support.
Excellent. Now, when did you join the profession?
It's been about 30 years. So,
wow.
It's been a long time.
So the demographics have changed, right?
The demographics certainly have changed. I was pleased to say when I was in London this last week for insurance market meetings, there were I think maybe 5 other women in the series of meetings I was in throughout, and that has shifted in the landscape. Certainly, whatever industry event I'm going to, you see the migration of new young talent and diversity permeating, which is amazing.
Yeah. Are you hearing any stories in addition to I stumbled into it or something like that, that really opened your eyes to how else risk professionals or how else students might find risk management or how else professionals might make an adjacent shift or something like that?
Yeah. So I think the work that the Spencer Educational Foundation is doing in partnership with RIMS is tremendous. We have actual majors in universities and colleges that offer the risk management and insurance degree and concentration, which is amazing. That certainly wasn't something I ever heard of. And most people my age, so dinosaurs, we kind of fell into it. Maybe somebody was a broker, maybe it was an underwriter, somebody owned an insurance company and said, why don't you try to do this, or a brokering company. And so I love that now we're being intentional. And I also love that we are finding people with, like you said, adjacent degrees where it's business, finance, or even psychology. I laugh, right? Because, I always say, the 5 cents jar from Snoopy's. Sorry, Charles Schultz. The doctor is in.
We're dating ourselves a little bit here on the show this week, but that's okay. I got it. I understood it.
I don't know, Justin. You look way younger than me, but thank you. That was very kind.
I understood. I grew up with some Snoopy also. I had the Snoopy doll. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I kind of say, staying with that theme or metaphor, we're Snoopy. We kind of figure out how to do stuff. We're in the background. We're always around and we're eager to please. And we're trying to figure out how do we help our businesses thrive and grow to the next level.
Cynthia, let's stick with Spencer for a moment because you mentioned it. You are one of our risk managers on campus, right?
I am. I've been lucky enough to serve. Yeah. So Spencer runs this amazing program where, in partnership with large carriers and brokers, and specifically through a partnership with Marsh, I've been lucky enough to have been selected as the risk manager on campus. So they give grants to the schools that allows working risk managers to come on campus. And this sounds much more significant, but maybe like an adjunct professor or visiting lecturer.
Yeah, visiting lecturer. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. So we spent a few days on campus. We work with the teams in advance. And I have to say, everyone at Spencer, Megan will be joining us for our live webinar. Please make sure you tune in because she's amazing. Ken, Daniel, that whole team, a big shout out. They work tirelessly to make sure the next gen of leaders know what an amazing career this is, and about not only the ladder opportunities, but also the lattice opportunities to really transition from broking to underwriting to being in-house like me. And so it's the work they do is really inspiring, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm very grateful that every once in a while I get picked.
Yeah. Well, like you were saying, I think they do terrific work. And we've had a few other risk professionals who are also risk manager on campus. And they always have these inspiring stories to tell. They love reaching the kids. They love reaching the young people who are going to be the future of the profession. And we had a lovely time reconnecting with Megan Miller a couple of weeks ago on this show. Spencer Day is going to be yesterday when this episode comes out, but Spencer Day is February 23rd. But folks, check out spencered.org. I've already plugged it in the mid-roll, and they've got all sorts of grants and opportunities for you. And if it's not for you, but you know somebody, send them the link and let them explore it. And if they get a chance to connect with people like Cynthia through those programs, then they will be richer for it. Maybe not financially richer, but their experience will be richer is really what I meant. I also wanted to ask you, we were talking before we were rolling, and I mentioned it at the top. You're so wonderful to speak with, and you're so very giving with your perspective. You came on my radar because I saw a LinkedIn post where you were honored as the 2025 Bill McIntyre Leadership Award recipient. You received that at the IRMI Construction Risk Conference. That's the International Risk Management Institute. That's IRMI. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now that's a big deal. I think it's a great thing when people receive an award. I think a humble brag like you did or your marketing team did was the right way to go. So let's start with the fun part. What did that recognition mean to you personally?
You're always, I think you're always a little bit surprised, but so pleased when you get acknowledged by your peers. And because IRMI is so preeminent in the construction risk management space, it was specifically even more special just because I know the great work they did. I remember starting out in risk management and going to them as a resource. And I know the people who will attend IRMI and who make that organization thrive. And they're people I look up to and consider to be, the greats. And so very, very feeling lucky that it was my turn to get acknowledged. And I have to say, a little embarrassed because there's probably way more qualified folks out there, but really grateful that it was me this year. So thanks so much, IRMI.
Well, you're being modest. And the other reason I wanted to bring this up is because I live on LinkedIn, and that is now a part of my job, or at least it has been since I've been with RIMS. And I think the occasional humble brag is a good thing. And you see it all the time now. Now, was that something that came naturally to you, or was that something you had to just trust in the process of doing?
So that's a really good question, Justin. I don't know if our listeners know, but I'm an immigrant. So English is my second language, and I grew up, my background, I come from, I'm Korean, and I grew up in a very Confucianist household. So, in terms of philosophy, you should be seen, not heard, where the collective win is celebrated. And so it's one of those things that I've had to work on and with intention and get over what I'm going to call the weird heebie-jeebies about self-promotion or what could be viewed as arrogance. So it's something I'm still working on. I used to have a much harder time accepting compliments. I think I'm better at it.
I think so.
I look at it as an opportunity to show others who are coming up behind me that diversity exists, that it sounds silly it's hard for us to visualize us in that role unless we have, those who came before us.
Sure.
And so I look at it through that lens, right? So what are the opportunities that exist? Can I also think about this, right? And so it is something I've had to work on. My marketing team is genius.
They did a wonderful job. That was
they're
one post
amazing.
caught my eye. Yeah, they were great.
Yeah. So
Yep.
very, very lucky to be, again, supported by so much talent and such a community that helps uplift you.
Yes. And I just want to say also, the whole seen and not heard thing, that's not just Confucianism. That's old world Brooklynism, because I have relatives from way, way back who also employed the whole children should be seen and not heard.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, that's not limited to Korean. I can promise you that.
That's good to know. I think, we all have shared experiences within our collective.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people, I think, tend to be focusing on the differences, right? And it is important to celebrate our differences. But
Sure.
I think there's so much more in common, regardless of geography and generation of how we were raised. There's so much in shared value. And I'm constantly inspired by those stories of people who saw a different future or leaned into a hand up. And so that really motivates me to try to be better.
Yeah.
And so that's something that drives me.
Excellent. And I just want to say also, there's value in that as a networking opportunity and a networking tool as well. And like I said, if that post had not gone up, I would not have met you. And so that in itself is it's a way to broaden your network, to meet more people. And it's okay to do, I think it's okay to do a humble brag. We've won a couple of awards for this show. And
congrats.
And yes, and I'm known here at RIMS as like the shameless self-promoter guy, and that's okay. It's part of the job. They gave me a microphone. I got to open my big mouth, but it is very special when you are acknowledged outside your own company and outside your own little sphere. And I think it's great, and I'm very happy for you. And that triggered a whole sequence of events. And one of those events, like we said, in recognition of Women's History Month, we at RIMS here will be presenting the webinar on March 6th, Hard Hats and High Stakes, Women Leaders Shaping Construction Risk Management. And you're going to be one of our featured panelists, of course. You're going to be providing the risk officer's perspective. We've got Danette Beck from Astris and Jessica Rasulo from WTW. You knew them a little bit, right?
I do. They're amazing women. So Jessica is with our current PNC brokerage team, but she's just an amazing trailblazer as well. And Danette is not only a longtime friend, but somebody that I just look up to a lot. She's considered a thought leader, not only by me, but many in the industry.
Yeah.
And in the course of the time I've known her, she's been an amazing broker as well as now transitioning into an underwriting. And I think certainly they're going to add a lot more value and perspective. They're seeing a lot of clients and they're seeing a whole industry, and I think offer a different perspective versus, my little slice of the pie. And so really, again, just grateful to be sharing anything and on any panel with any of those ladies. They're rock stars.
That's going to be excellent. And the link is on this episode's show notes, everyone. You can always visit rims.org/webinars. Like we said earlier, Megan Miller, the CEO of the Spencer Educational Foundation, will kick things off with a special introduction because she's got obviously a connection to you. And I think the world of her. So it's always nice to have a familiar face there to lead things off instead of just my announcer voice doing the thing and I've got no video on. So it's going to be a wonderful way to observe and celebrate Women's History Month. And ahead of Risk World and Construction Safety Awareness Week, you encapsulate the best of risk management. No, you're absolutely wonderful. And I just want to thank you so much for joining us here on RIMScast. I think our listeners really took a lot away from not just the construction risk perspective, but the career path that you've gone on. And there's a lot to take away. And I just want to thank you so much for your perspective and your time.
Thank you, Justin. I really appreciate you and the work RIMS is doing to put a spotlight on our amazing industry and the opportunities that exist. And so really grateful for the opportunities you're creating and thoughtfully curating. Thank you so much.
Special thanks again to Cynthia Garcia for joining us here on RIMScast. You can hear more from her directly on March 6th during the RIMS webinar, Hard Hats and High Stakes. RIMS members, keep in mind always that webinars are complimentary for you. That is one of the many benefits of a RIMS membership. Visit rims.org/webinars and the link on this episode's show notes to register. That's going to be a fantastic session. And now I want to speak about a topic near and dear to my heart, sponsorships. You can sponsor a RIMScast episode either on our publicly facing weekly show, that's this show, or with a dedicated episode. RIMScast has produced special episodes for JB Boda, The Hartford, Alliant, Zurich, Highwire, AXA XL, Prudent Insurance Brokers, High Trust, and Aon. Links to sponsored episodes are on our show notes. RIMScast has a global audience comprised of risk and insurance professionals, legal professionals, students, business leaders, C-suite executives, and more. Let's collaborate and help you reach them. Contact pd@rims.org for more information. Let's talk about RIMS membership, folks. Become a RIMS member and get access to the tools, thought leadership, and network you need to succeed. Visit rims.org/membership or email membershipdept@rims.org for more information. And let's also talk about risk knowledge. This is the RIMS searchable content library that provides relevant information for today's risk professionals. Available materials include RIMS executive reports, survey findings, contributed articles, industry research, benchmarking data, and more. For the best reporting on the profession of risk management, check out Risk Management Magazine, the Society's official monthly publication. You can find this on rmmagazine.com. It is written and published by the best minds in risk management. My name is Justin Smulison, Business Content Manager here at RIMS. Please remember to subscribe to RIMScast on your favorite podcasting app. Email us at content@rims.org. Practice good risk management, stay safe, and thank you again for your continuous support.